it up. Now in terms of the performance, this phone has that Apple A chip inside of it, a dual-core CPU with 1 GB of RAM on every single model of this device. And what I can tell you is a phone like this in this caliber, obviously it's not going to be that fast. It's not going to be, what everybody wants it to be. But I will tell you, for being a 2014 phone, for being, almost, 5 years old, or what are we, almost 7 years old at this point, it's definitely pretty impressive to me that this phone is still getting software updates in and of itself. But the fact that it's still kind of, okay in the smoothness factor. Now, it's definitely not fast by any means. If I had to use this as a phone, I would totally be okay with it, but I would definitely be complaining about it a lot. I think my biggest problem with this type of device would probably come in the sense of the RAM management. If I hop out of an app and I try to go into another one, I would probably end up getting a lot of apps, be kicked out of a lot of apps, and that would be something that would be really, really annoying to me. I like maintaining apps in the background, and having, 4 gigs, 3 gigs, or even 2 gigs on an iPhone will definitely do you much better. Unfortunately, this iPhone only has 1 GB of RAM, so you're definitely going to feel like you have a slow phone in that sense, because apps are constantly going to be closed out in the background. But for the majority of people out there, if they had to use a phone like this, I think they'd be okay with it. It would not be great. And obviously, my biggest complaint is when you compare this type of phone to another phone. If you compare this phone to an iPhone 8 or an iPhone SE2, you're definitely going to be seeing some pretty big differences for sure. So that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind. But what I will tell you though is that for the majority of people out there, a phone like an iPhone 6 still has some capability. I would not recommend anybody to use the iPhone 6 as their main device just purely off of, performance standpoint. But for a backup phone, it's really not that bad. It's still pretty smooth. If you jailbreak it, which this phone does have the capability, there's a lot of speed tweaks that you can also enhance and put on top of this phone as well. But in terms of the overall performance aspect, that's pretty much how I would kind of cover that specific standpoint up. Now,